Hi guys, welcome to FretDojo. It's Greg O'Rourke here and it's great to be back on YouTube. In this video, I'm going to show you the secrets of making soloing over difficult jazz standards a piece of cake using the secrets of guide tones. We're going to look at soloing over All the Things You Are as an example, but you can use this technique over any other jazz standard. And I've also got a really cool 2-5-1 guide tone lick that we can get stuck into as well, and I can show you how all that works. So lots in store, lots to do today. Let's get into it right after this. Alright, so before we begin, I've prepared a nice PDF worksheet of all the things we're going to cover in this lesson today, and you can get that by downloading it from the video description below this video. So make sure you do that now before you head to the rest of the lesson. So to kick things off, let's get started by talking about what guide tones are. Now I know a lot of you that are watching this probably already know this, but it's always good to have a recap, and just in case you don't know what they are, let's talk about that. Guide tones are simply the third and the seventh of each chord that you're playing in a progression. So guide tones are the most essential tones in a chord that you need to target in order for that chord to make sense to the audience's ears. Kind of like the bare minimum you need to define the sound of a jazz chord. So now that we've got that sorted out, let's go to my guitar now, where we're going to look at a few easy techniques to get that guide tone targeting into your playing so you can sound more like a jazz player. As you're going to find out, it's a lot easier than you might think.
Right, off we go, to the end of the universe!
Firstly, let's have a listen to the melody of All the Things You Are. I'll just play you a little bit from the start of it. I'll chuck a few chords underneath it. And I want you to have a close listen to this melody because a lot of the secrets of what I'm talking about in today's lesson are contained in this melody. Here we go. So now let's investigate what's going on with this melody. It's a very simple melody. It's basically the main tones of the melody are the thirds of each chord that you're on at the time. So there's the third, third on the B flat minor 7, third on the E flat 7, third on the A flat major 7. So this is basically a melody constructed with guide tones, and in particular that most important guide tone, the third. So play along with me now. If you've got that worksheet in front of you, I hope you've downloaded it. Let's have a look at just playing the thirds on each chord in the chord progression. So I'll fire up the backing track now and let's give that a go. Okay, so that was pretty boring, right? That was just playing thirds. Like, that didn't sound like a solo at all. But you can easily make it sound like a solo simply by messing around with the thirds on each chord that you're on. Now, you can use chromatic approaches. For example, instead of just playing the first third, the A flat on that F minor 7 chord, you could sort of go from 2 frets above and do this. Okay? So instantly that sounds a little bit more jazzy and more interesting than just playing. Okay, so, or you could even go 2 from below, like that. Or you could go 2 from below, then 2 from above. That's one of Joe Pass's favorites. Or you could do a little trill or something like that. That sort of thing. instantly this can sound like a pretty convincing solo. Let's fire up the backing track again, and I'm going to show you some of those approaches to each third that I just discussed. So as you can see, only by doing that, all I was doing in my head then was going, where's the third, and targeting it and leading towards it, you can get a pretty good sounding solo just like that, especially if you do some of those chromatic approaches to make it sound a bit more jazzy. But if you wanted to go a bit further, how about we try a guide tone lick? So this is a lick that has that guide tone movement built in. And these are very useful because you can kind of just plug and play them, you know, so put them in over the backing track, over the relevant 2-5-1 progressions, and it's kind of like just add water, it'll sound jazzy. So this is actually kind of easier in a way. So let's have a look at the lick that's on the worksheet. Make sure you've downloaded that if you haven't already, and I'll play that for you now a few times so that you can get the sound of it into your ears and under your fingers. Let's give it a go. So this one's straight out of the Charlie Parker playbook. Now, as you can see, I'm playing this over a C major 2-5-1 progression. So D minor 7, G7, C major 7. So the first note, listen to the first note. There's our third, and then it doodles around until it gets to here. Third. Third. Okay, there's quite a lot in that lick that's very interesting, but I don't want to go into that too much now. The fact is that on the key points, it emphasizes the third and lands there to really outline the sound of the harmony and makes it feel like the harmony is going somewhere in your line. So it's important when you learn a line to learn it in at least 2 positions. You'll find it much, much more useful and easy to take to other keys than just relying on the single one. So now I'm going to demonstrate just plugging in this line over the various 2-5-1 progressions in the All the Things You Are chord progression. Now, keep in mind that you don't have to be too fastidious about where you start them. This is something I've noticed students get caught up on, like they're worried because they kind of came in a bit late or they came in early when they played the line and they kind of spooked themselves. But this is the thing, as long as you play the line around the right place, you can anticipate the progression by a beat, or you can come in a beat later or 2 beats later. As long as you confidently play the line through, it will still sound fine. And it can take the pressure out of playing licks in this kind of context. All right, so let's fire up the backing track and let's see what that sounds like now. You don't have to kind of play these rigidly, they're just starting points for improvisation, stepping stones. Now, what I'm going to show you to kind of tie everything together that we've been doing in today's lesson is I'm going to once again do the kind of little chromatic and ornamental patterns around each third like we were doing earlier, but every now and then I'll pop that lick in and maybe a variation of it to see how that kind of mixes in with everything. And as you'll see, it gives you a lot of creative possibilities with just these two techniques, guide tone targeting and playing a couple of lines. Let's give it a go. Okay, so there you have it, a good start on soloing over a difficult jazz standard with lots of key changes, like all the things you are, but all I was doing was targeting the guide tones and occasionally popping a lick in, and you can do a lot just with those two techniques. So I really hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Make sure that you grab that worksheet, which comes along with the backing track and the lick that we did today, by clicking on the link in the description below this video. And please subscribe to my channel. I plan to have a lot more movies coming out very soon on YouTube, so make sure you don't miss out and hit that subscribe button, and also leave a comment and let me know what you thought about this lesson. I would love to hear from you. Okay, well, until next time, please stay tuned for more from Fret Dojo, and I look forward to working with you in the future. I'll talk to you soon.